Folks, this is a hard reality for some sellers. I'll explain what that is and then get into the latest home prices and insights for York Region for week ending November 5th, 2025. If you want to speak directly with me about your real estate situation, maybe you need help selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description, there's a link to my calendar. Click on that, book a time that's convenient for you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. With one of our buyer clients, went to go look at a house. Now, from the MLS, from the pictures, we're pretty excited to see this house. They had a lot of really nice looking updates, but that was, through photos, and we wanted to go see it in real life. So we go see the house. Right from the street, as we pull up, we can see a whole bunch of the brickwork has been replaced with stonework. So they removed the original bricks that were there, and on the outside built this nice stone around the garage. In the entrance to the house, it was really nice. New garage door, but it's custom. It wasn't like you look at the street, you could see the other doors. This was a custom made. The opening had been changed. Beautiful. Matching garage door. We get into the house. We take our shoes off naturally. And as I step onto the tiles of the foyer, I can feel the heated floors. We're getting pretty excited so far about what we're seeing here. So heated floors in the foyer. And as we walk through the house, there's one feature after another impressing us. It was so nice. They had everything. Heated floors in the bathroom. Basement was heated floors. They had the pot fillers. They had feature walls, multiple feature walls. Other walls have been removed. And the home was pristine, extremely nice. Needless to say, my client loved it. Now, when you're looking at buying a house like this, if one house recently sold in that neighborhood, and I'm just picking numbers for the illustration here, if a home sold for $2 million and another home comes up for sale and it has, say, $300,000 or $400,000 worth of rentals, but the last sale that didn't have those rentals, recent sale, comparable homes sold for $2 million, and you got yours for sale with $300,000 to $400,000 of rentals, you're not getting an extra $300,000 to $400,000 on top of what the last one sold. You might get $100,000, $150,000, maybe. That's the problem with updating your home. Well, the situation that I was in with my client compounded that problem, because this was not a $2 million plus neighborhood. My client is a first-time home buyer. Well, a first time buying a freehold property. And that whole neighborhood, they're all similar type of homes. Very small, just getting into the freehold market type of home. So my buyer's coming in with a limited budget, as most first-time freehold buyers are. Their budget is very limited. And although they absolutely love everything about that home and all the incredible updates that were done, there's only so much they can afford to buy. And if the last home sold for $1 million, maybe they're going to go to $1,050,000, $1,075,000, a little bit more, but they're definitely not paying the cost of those rentals. That's the problem with that home we've seen. Not only are those sellers not getting dollar for dollar for the rentals, it's far less because of the neighborhood that they did this in. This is a starter type freehold property, but the updates were just out of this world. And sometimes I'll see that and the updates are just tacky, like it's just too much. This was all tastefully done, but still way more than I would say most buyers looking in that neighborhood are prepared to pay. If you've done renovations and spent whatever renovations cost these days, it's not inexpensive. You did these renovations years ago and you've had 10, 15 years to enjoy the renovations, good for you. And you're selling today after you've had many years of enjoying and living with those renovations, you kind of get it that you're not going to get dollar for dollar because you've had all those years of enjoying those renovations. But man, if you did those renovations recently and now you're trying to sell, the sting of the cost of those renovations is still like front and center in your mind. You're not getting that money back. That's just something you got to know. So if you're going to do rentals, prepare to be there for a while. Enjoy it. But once you go on the market and you recently did those, you're just not going to see that money back. You'll see a fraction of that money back. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. And if you get value from what we're talking about, subscribe. Now, let's get into the numbers. Here we go, folks. We're going to be focused on York region for detached properties. Before we get into our weekly data breakdown, I'm going to be showing really a chart that I do once a month, and we're looking at data on a monthly basis. I've got 5 years on the board here. Highlighted in black is every October going back for 5 years. So for October 2025, 583 detached properties were sold across York region. This is everywhere in York region. 583 is a little lower than what we sold last year, but it's higher than the previous 2 years and much lower than what we sold in October 2021. It's about half. Let's look at see if we could come up with some patterns. So October 2021, November, December, January, sales were lower. October 2022, sales were lower once we go past. Actually, October 2022, November sales were slightly higher. 2023, sales were lower past October. And the same thing for 2024 last year. So if we're looking at what do we expect for October, November, December, well, we expect December, January sales to be lower than what they are today if we use the previous 5 years as a template. But November, it's hard to say. Could be pretty similar to where we are now. Again, if we use the last 3 years as a template. We know what to expect. We don't know what's going to happen. But October sales could be pretty similar, maybe slightly lower. And I'm basing it on what we've recently experienced over the last 3 years. Average sold price for October 2025 is $1,532,000. And when we look back over time, 1,532, 8% lower than the last year, 5.2% lower than 2023. It's only 1.5% lower than 2022. It's 12% lower than 2021. So average sold price over the last 5 years, if we just compare October's, overall has been trending down for a while now. Compared to peak pricing, peak was February 2022, $1,992,000. We are about $400,000 lower, which is 20.7% lower than peak pricing. If we go back a bit further and we compare to 2019, our current price, average price of $1,532, is actually almost 32% higher than where the average price was in 2019. So depending on where you are on the spectrum, when you buy your home, if you've bought in the previous 5 years, it's a good chance your home value is lower right now. But if you bought before that, you're way up. If we go to 2019, we're currently 32% higher. Now, for sure, I'm talking averages here. Your individual situation will determine whether your home is up or down in value, but these are the numbers. Here we're going to get into our regular program. We're going to be focused on detached properties for Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, broken down on a weekly basis. For week ending November 5th, we're going to start off with Vaughan. 22 detached properties sold. 5 of those sold at $2 million or more. Sales looks like they're trending down for Vaughan. 22 actually selling. Average price, and I've got a line here focused on just the fall period. Looks like average prices may be trending up. That's what the chart is showing me here. The average price is a little bit up over the fall period. Compared to last year, I didn't tell you what the average price was. It's currently sitting at $1,693,000 versus a year ago. That's 2% lower than where we were this time a year ago. The median price of $1,699 is 1% lower. The dotted line, that's a 4-week moving average. The average price actually is kind of looking like it's a bit flat when we look at the 4-week moving average. The median price looks like it's trending upwards. 22 were sold, only 9% sold at list price or more. That percentage over the fall market has been trending down, the percentage selling at list price or more. 71 were listed. Now listings in most areas, we're seeing that listings for week ending November 5th, listings are up from the previous week. Active listings is slightly trending down. There's 612 available detached properties for sale just in Vaughan. And when we look at the sales, basically 3.6% of all available properties actually sold. Months of inventory climbed up to 6.4 months of inventory. Here's Richmond Hill. 14 detached properties sold. 3 of those sold at $2 million or more. 14 is not a lot. The sampling in Richmond Hill is pretty low, and that's why you get these huge peaks and valleys everywhere. Let me go back. Average sold price. I'm forgetting to tell everybody what the average sold price actually is. For week ending November 5th, the average sold price is $1,743,000. 1,743 is 4% lower than the same week a year ago. The median price of 1,665 is 10% lower. 14 sold. The percentage selling at list price or more over the last 4 or 5 weeks is trending up. For this week, it's 29%. Listings up from the previous week. Active listings trending down. And of the available detached properties for sale, which is 534, 2.6% actually sold. And months of inventory, pretty high at 8.8 months of inventory. Here's Markham. Sales overall look like they're trending down. 22 detached properties sold. 3 of those sold at $2 million or more. Average sold price, if we just focus on the fall period, trending up. It's currently at $1,665,000. 1,665, slightly higher, but pretty much where the average price was the same week a year ago, with a 0% change. Median price of $1,414,000 is 12% lower. 22 were sold, 23% sold at list price or more. Listings up quite a bit from the previous week. Active listings is trending down. There's 446 available for sale. 4.9% actually sold. So when we look at Vaughan, Richmond Hill, and Markham, the percentage of sales versus how many are available for sale, Markham, it's the highest percentage. Months of inventory in a balanced market at 4.7 months of inventory. Here's a summary of months of inventory. You're looking at in Vaughan and Richmond Hill, more of a buyer's market. Markham, top end of a balanced market. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.